offer a buyer is I'm going to wait until I find a seller who's desperate enough to sell, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit around and I'm going to keep on making lowball offers until somebody's willing to accept my offer, because that's how you get the best deal, right?
It's a
If the
theory.
market is going up and it's, we look at it per week, per month, per quarter, whatever you want, the longer you wait, the higher the price you're going to pay.
Sure.
How many people have I come across where they keep telling themselves that I'm going to wait till I get a good deal. I'm going to wait till I can get that 3-bedroom in the neighborhood for this price. I'm going to wait until I find the fill in the blank so that I can make fill in the blank,
Yeah.
right? This is all very, very, very common type of chatter that isn't backed up by facts. It's all feelings. They think like the market's gonna tank because I've heard some negative YouTube videos or something else like that too. And this is where you have to be careful. So it depends on why you're buying. It depends on what you're doing and the reasons behind it. But at the end of the day, if the market's going up and prices continue to climb and you're going to say, well, I'm going to wait until the market settles down, great. Let's say it takes 3 months. We're in a strong seller's market. Nothing lasts forever. I guarantee it. Nothing lasts forever. 3 months go by and prices end up going up. Okay. Now the new benchmark price for the house that you want to buy has gone up. And if you're a seller and you're looking at selling the home and the market is maybe softening and maybe there isn't as many buyers or there is more sellers and we're in a more balanced market, are you going to want more or less than the last house that sold on your street? It's not less.
No.
It's the same or more.
Even when the market's going down, the answer is still the same. You want
And
more.
unless the buyer's desperate, they're not. I mean, the seller's desperate. They're not going to just go and sell their home for cheaper,
No.
right? So,
But
over the
hold on
last,
a sec. There's way more to a bubble than that. And I think where bubbles get made and burst and go out of control, I mean, there has to be new supply coming online that far outpaces the demand, right?
huge.
Right? So like you get Florida, for example, has a bubble because they build all kinds of stuff that's not sold, right? And they just keep going and they keep going and they keep going on top of all the crazy buying that's happening in the resale market. But when you have, I think what we have here, where, I mean, we talked about it just a little earlier in this episode. Like you have wealthy people, smart wealthy people that can afford to kind of put the brakes on and almost balance the market on their own, right? And you also have rules in place that say these have to actually be sold to somebody before you can actually start building these things, unless you want to put all your own cash in, right?
What changed in Florida when you mentioned Florida? What changed
Well,
in Florida?
yeah, of course. I mean, things have to change when every 8 years you have a crazy overbuild and a bubble bursts, right?
But the major fact that changed was their banking system. The capabilities of the buyers on being able to close on those transactions was removed. So it's not that the buyers didn't want to close on all those condos.
No,
They were no
but
longer able to.
right, and the developers needed people to be able to, right, so that they could just keep pumping out product, right?
So in any bubble, that's the fundamental issue. In any type of market correction, it's not necessarily what the sellers are willing to do or have to do or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's when you suck the capabilities of the buyers, when you take that away.
So
And now
these
there's
people are right. There's gonna be a bubble in Toronto at some point. These people are all right. I don't think you and I will live to see it. Because we can never listen. I mean, we haven't even got into a lot of the articles, which we probably should, just to kind of keep talking to these points. But there's so many good things.
finish truth so we can move on, and we'll talk about Brian Jordan's comment at the end.
Well,
Truth is
sure. So I mean, Truth is talking about a bubble. He's also talking about cash flowing properties in Toronto.
great.
So I mean, there's a few things happening here. Definitely, I think you and I are in agreement. There's no bubble here at all. There's a ton of demand and not enough supply. And maybe there's going to be a temporary amount of supply kicking around, but there seems to be buyers for that anyways.
Currently, that's what we're seeing right now for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and let's not confuse what.
A lot of a lot of changes. There's got to be a lot of things, a lot of variables that go in the wrong direction
Sure.
for there to be any um, housing bubble in Toronto.
But
Guaranteed.
and let's not confuse what's happening in the rental market right now for being some kind of like deflation of the bubble as well, right?
The rental market and the housing market are related, but loosely.
Loosely. And what is also apparent is like we've talked about it before, condos and houses are maybe not even loosely connected anymore, right? Because these
They're
are not the same buyers. It's not the
yeah.
same pool of buyers, not the same pool of sellers. Like there's nothing.
Bigger condos and the smaller houses are related.
Maybe
That's
maybe
where the
super loosely. Yeah, I'd like the move
smaller
up.
condos, totally different buyers. The bigger houses, totally different buyers. In the middle, those do I go into a semi or a town, or do I go and buy a 2+10 condo? That's where the market.
But some people are like definite condo people.
Sure, I know, but I'm just saying that's where they overlap. Where if we lose all those larger condo purchasers and they all move into the housing market, right?
Yeah,
Or we lose all the lower housing market prices because housing prices go up too high, they're forced into the larger condos. That's
right.
where the connect.
Fine. And it is definitely loosely connected.
So
Okay.
we're running out of time. So quickly on truth, cash flowing properties. Any seasoned real estate investor that I know isn't buying based off of appreciation. If I went to an investor and said, "Look, you're going to be losing a ton of money on the appreciation or on the cash flow, but guess what? The market's going to go up and you're going to make a lot of money."
Yeah.
That's a rookie mistake that investors make, and it's not something that seasoned guys do.
Well,
So they look at the numbers, and the appreciation is really irrelevant because you've got a 5-year plan on what is my cash flow. You can
yeah.
prove that. Here's
Sure.
the rent. Here's
Sure.
my expense. That's what I base my investment
I, I,
on, no matter what.
I got something on my desk this week actually talking exactly to this. Can't find cash flow in Toronto was the conversation. The agent sent me something out in Ajax, I think it was, showing that it was like 50% return on investment. And it had 4 sections, one of which a 2%, like return on yearly return on money plus appreciation plus this plus that. I was like, this is not a 50% return on investment. This is 2%.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I don't care what the appreciation does. I don't want to sell it. I want to rent it to somebody,
yeah. Single
right?
family, is there cash flowing properties? No. And what he means by cash flowing is probably at a 20% down payment, because you and I have discussed this. Every property is cash flowing if you have a big enough down payment.
That's it.
That's you're looking for something that you're going to put down minimum 20% down and then make it cash flowing. It's got to be multi-unit. My best bet would be 3 units. 3 units right now, they're undervalued. So get something that's going to be capable for you, especially if you're somebody who doesn't have another property. Anything over 3 units, you can't give notices to move in and all that kind of stuff too. So if you're looking to be able to get some vacancies, there's some options that investors can have on a 3 unit or less. And at 3 units, most of them right now have been rented for a long time, so that there's actually really under market rents there. So getting those rents to come up, that's going to help with cash flow. So that's a big one. And then creation of secondary suites. That's by far the best way to get a legal unit, because now it's a new suite that's created after November 15th, 2018, no rent control. So now you're going to be able to rent out the upstairs, have a legal secondary suite,
Yeah.
no rent control on it, cash flow right away. Whitby, Oshawa is great. There's some other, outskirt neighborhoods, Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo. There's other properties. There's other places to get that cash flow where you need to be, and you need somebody who's experienced on the construction side, on the real estate side, and they're out there. I have lots of people doing it, and
Yeah.
there's definitely options.
That's where you got to be right now if you're looking at rentals, I think too. That's what I came up with this week also is Oshawa, Ajax, Whitby, just further out, and houses for sure where you can create secondary or even third suites somehow. Okay, so quickly, immigration is inviting in a lot of skilled tech workers. And then we also have that the province is fighting. I guess the city's fighting the province on Bill 184.
Mm.
They're taking them to court. Yorkville, one condo added another 100. Airbnbs to the pool. And I got an article here saying student housing market heats up. And it's talking about how I guess the universities are only going to allow 30 to 50% of the students to live on campus
The dorms, yeah.
in the dorms, and that a lot of people don't want to live in like the frat houses now, and that a lot of people are looking for like their own place to live and a nicer place to live. So that's
Makes
heating up. So, I mean, with rents downtown, I think it's a very temporary situation. Lot of things are going to push this down for a little while. I read an article actually, which is uh, puts a smile on my face. It was an article saying how, all the different cities in Toronto's rents were going down by whatever 2%, 6%, 8%, 11%, but Scarborough rents are going up 2%, which is great if you own property in Scarborough that you're renting or trying to sell. So,
so
so I
that's
mean, I guess we answered truth. I mean, if you want to get something downtown or in Toronto that cash flows, put more money down, which is not a bad idea if you can, because you really just want to own that piece of Toronto,
yeah. That's
right?
not that's not what he's asking though, right? It's about finding the properties that minimum down payment,
I think if
leverage.
you're an investor, all you care about is the numbers anyways. You don't care about where the hell it is.
Yeah, but don't look at the market. The guys who play the market are the guys who sit on the sidelines, and there's too many things that are out of your control. So look at it from a perspective of, do the numbers make sense? Can I
Yeah.
afford it? Is there going to be any issues as far as future repairs and expenses? And at the end of the day, if it makes sense and it's a long-term investment, real estate's a long-term investment. All these little short market fluctuations and stuff like that shouldn't be impacting your investment decisions. So not something that I think a lot of the really seasoned guys are too concerned about. If
Yeah.
you're presented with a deal that makes sense, the numbers are good, move on it. Move on it. The best time to buy real estate was yesterday. The next best time is today. That's unfortunately a truism.
And then I guess to answer our friend Brian Jordan, we'll bring out our crystal balls now and talk about what do we anticipate prices in downtown condos in
Wait,
three
can we do
years
the
from now.
thing first? Because I think that's a quick one.
What's that?
The Airbnb, the City of Toronto proposal, short-term rentals. What's the
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. That'll never happen. I don't even know how the math works with that.
anytime there's private individuals involved and the city, so these like public private ventures, they never go the way that they're supposed to go, and it is always a disaster. And unless it's a huge corporation, it never actually ends up going through council, because the city just protects the public interest by not getting into bed with unreliable people. And private owners of Airbnb, I would deem as being an unreliable business partner for the city to be going into business with. So
But how do you
unfortunately,
do it as affordable housing?
yeah. So,
There's
well,
nothing affordable about those. They were overpaid for, over leveraged.
yeah, it would be a subsidy, right? So at the end of the day, it's not something that's going to work. There's a lot more options out there. But
Yeah.
again, coming up with the guy who came up with that idea is somebody who's got probably direct involvement in short term
He owns 400 of them.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's not happening.
don't bank on that one. There's our crystal ball on that. And then
Yeah.
the bill 184. What
Well, so Bill 184, the government is saying that it is helpful for the tenants and makes it harder to get evicted. And people that have read it are saying that that is not, in fact, the case. And that basically the only thing that I'm reading in there, what's
yeah.
that?
Could be easier ways to get evicted now, where there is not going to be a hearing if the tenant doesn't fulfill their payment schedule and stuff. And I think John Tory got a lot of pressure on this one here. I think that's the reason. I don't think they actually changed anything. They just showed their cards and said, "Here's our stance." And there's two councillors who voted no, and the rest voted yes. And our stance is with the tenants, and we're going to do everything we can, which is nothing, because it's a provincial legislation that has nothing to do with the
They
city
were
councillors of Toronto.
they were outside his building.
His house. They're at his house.
No, he lives in the building at He lives at the building at the corner of Bedford and Bloor. So they were all
Okay.
just camping out with signs. I love it.
Guy, poor guy. So
Poor guy.
not much is going to change there either.
No. And listen, we've been talking the last point on there about the city is I mean, people have been talking about changing the yellow belt or the neighborhoods or allowing more divisible housing options in them forever. But I mean, I think it's becoming more and more. I mean, I think they're loosening things up. You see kind of semis in places and towns in places where you wouldn't expect them. You see the odd condo kind of come up in the middle of nowhere that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's black and white answer right now. Is the city and the province going to loosen up what you can build and where you can build? Absolutely.
yeah,
100%. They have no
they
choice.
have
It's
to.
when.
Yeah,
And it's going to be a long time before any of that the stuff that people have been talking about lately ever gets changed.
yeah,
And there's gonna be some micro adjustments in different zoning bylaws, maybe the official plan, stuff like that in the more centralized regions because it's kind of easier to justify.
yeah.
But anything beyond that is not foreseeable
No,
anytime soon.
not anytime soon.
Yeah.
And then what else? So 3 years from now, 3 years from now, where is Toronto real estate? Where is
Right.
downtown Toronto condos?
Yeah.
You
You're
want
up.
me to go first?
You're up.
Yeah,
Like the
listen, I mean, condo prices are still going up in the middle of a pandemic. People selling them have decided, you know what? We're just not going to sell right now. It's okay. We'll wait a bit. And I think just those two things combined tell us that the condo market in Toronto, I mean, if you add back in an assumption that immigration taps will open again by 3 years from now to full capacity, schools will turn off the ability to do it remotely or change something so that people want to come locally rather than from abroad or just do it there. And God knows, I mean, tech sector is going to boom here. I think that local, at least in Ontario, like manufacturing is going to take off again. I think there's a lot of reasons why Toronto is going to be a boom town. And probably won't even take 3 years to get there. It's just going to keep chugging along. If I was your advisor, Mr. Jordan, I would definitely say do not sell those 3 condos. I would say save up money for the next 3 years and get into something that maybe has 6 units or 10 units next.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good outlook for what's out there. And the big one you mentioned was about tech companies coming to Toronto. There's going to be a lot more skilled workers eyeing Toronto from all over the world. There's going to be a lot more employment. And this whole thing about working from home and not needing to be in the office, this is a fad. This is not something that's going to be sustainable. Yes, there are some jobs that will be able to transition to working from home, but I promise you that once the employers all in the big companies look at what the productivity is like with people not being at the office, right, and different work schedules and stuff like that, they're going to realize that it's necessary for work culture, for retainment, for productivity, to have everybody in that structured environment, and having their kids running around in the background or distractions, not wearing any pants in the Zoom calls, whatever it is. That's not something that's going to be around forever.
No.
So for now,
And I think there's a
it's
lot of people that work. A lot of people will just say, you know what, like, if I have a choice to go in, I think I'm going to come in. I can't do this anymore. My kids are driving me nuts.
yeah, eventually, yeah. So the employees are gonna get sick of it too. And then the
Right.
other reason people live downtown is not just for employment. That's the major one. The other one too is for entertainment. The suburbs are not exciting. They're
No.
not, they're just not the same. People are not as interested in living out in the burbs. So even though right now this seems to be a trend, it's not something that's going to last long. Tell somebody in their 20s buying their first place to go and buy a condo at Jane and Highway 7, and you're going to find out what they really think of that. So
Well, and I
yeah,
think a lot of
and
the
rent in downtown Toronto, right? In the next 3 years, that's the forecast. Rent units, number of units, supply, demand is going to increase. We're not going to be able to maintain it. I do believe the rental market was a little inflated. I hope that it does. Balance out a little bit in order to be able to at least slow down price growth.
no.
But the
How is it
prices that
inflated?
we were getting before, the rental prices that we were getting before, well, they released that average wage necessary to afford a one bedroom apartment in Toronto, and is the highest, right, out of all the other major cities in Canada. But
Somebody
you know,
has to be.
I believe that those people who are getting one bedroom apartments are also, you know, skilled workers who are going to be making more money, who are in that $25 to $30 an hour range or more, and that's something that's going to be sustainable. Much higher than that is really hard to, you know, understand or really, you know, think of as being possible. But you know, I said that 5 years ago about
They are
the
going
prices of
up. They are
costs and everything.
going up.
They always seem to increase. So
You can't. There's no possible way to meet demand on rental housing, unless and the only way is to shut down the rental market, like what we just saw,
yeah,
which is basically what happened. The whole market just shut down. And especially as it gets less affordable to live here, people
hmm
won't even think about the purchase option. It'll
there's
just be.
also smaller units that are being created. There's you know, more room sharing, roommates
And
type of stuff.
the people that are moving here, the immigrants that are moving here, this is the lifestyle they're already accustomed to.
Yeah, exactly. Two people sharing a one bedroom, three people in a two bedroom, whatever. That's not something that's out of the ordinary.
Five
And it,
people in a two bedroom.
well, that's excessive. But at the end of the day, that you're right. You're right, and people will become more accustomed to that. One plus dens are not one plus dens. They're two
Twos.
bedrooms.
Oh yeah.
One is not as nice as the other one, right? Like that's what it is.
One is
And that
called a den because they have to because it doesn't have a window.
sure, yeah,
All right. So I mean, I
that's
don't
fantastic.
think it took a crystal ball to figure out where we think things will be in 3 years, but
No,
we
but
could
we're on
be
the same page.
yeah, but we could be also be 100% wrong, both of us.
Let's end with this because I do believe that a lot of people feel that actually someone did also mention about the Region Park project and stuff like that, and you know I
Regent
guess
Park
I'm
is
not
blowing up.
okay, great, but as far as you know where I would want to live, it's not Region Park. That's for me personally.
Yeah.
So Region Park is eventually going to be 100% regentrified. There will be an amazing downtown space there.
Yeah, no,
It's
there's a
just
scary part of it still.
far away from happening. If you've ever walked anywhere near any of those Region Park buildings, you are steps away from incredibly seedy people and properties. So, you know, if you want to be down there, great, but it's not for me.
No.
That's my official take on it. And there are other projects in that price range that are outside the hoods.
Mhm.
But the last part that I was going to talk about was why we're doing this podcast, and that's the most important thing. I have no interest in the information that we're giving out to benefit me. You have no interest in it either. You know, we both have our independent businesses and everything else too. This is just fun for us, making sure we're giving people information and talking the truth. So even though we're both on that, markets going up and everything, it really doesn't benefit us in any way. This is what we see. The last 20 years, if you had bought a piece of real estate a year later, you had made a very good return, except January to April 2017, right?
Or no, April, October to like July 2008, 2009. I
A
am a
year later,
testament to that. You could have got blown out of the water.
a year later. That's why I said that because yeah, there was a rough patch there where, great recession had some issues. But again, a year later, 2 years, you're making money. So
10
for us,
months later.
tell people not to get into the market and all that kind of stuff. It's irresponsible.
It's
And
irresponsible. Listen, in 2009, I got absolutely decimated. And if I waited 10 months, if I figured out how to hold on to those houses for 10 months,
yeah,
the outcome would have been 800 times different.
there
And
you go.
that's not even an overstatement.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me today, Daryl.
Thanks
That's
for being here, Mr. TK.
a great show, and I've got some places to go and people to see, things to do.
Go put your pants on. Have a good day. Go
Absolutely.
Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go. There you go.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, now. Thanks.